because of that respect Justin Gaethje has for Khabib, such a statement where it's not just like, oh, my guy needs a title shot. It's guy needs a title shot over Justin Gaethje. Well, he's going to take offense to that. He's going to say, wait a minute, and then Khabib's going to clarify it.
Welcome to the 11th Island MMA Show. I'm Brad here with Chris. Today we're going to talk about all things happening in the MMA world for the week. It's November 30th. Chris, what are we starting off with?
Well, Rob Font's fighting Jose Aldo at ESPN 31 this weekend. Brad, what do you think about that fight? Let's get into it.
First of all, I think they got to stop calling the fight nights like ESPN 31 and just call them UFC Fight Night. If you want to put the number, put the 100 and whatever. Those numbers, they frustrate me. But this is a hell of a fight here. Rob Font versus Jose Aldo. The bantamweight division right now is kind of top loaded. There's not a lot of parity going on. We need to kind of start getting people out of the contendership, and this is going to work after this. Rob Font or Jose Aldo is going to have to take a step back, because right now we got Jan's the interim champ, Sterling's the champ. They got to fight. Dillashaw's should be next. The winner of this fight is probably going to call out Dillashaw. But it's going to be a good fight. I think both of these guys really match up well. Rob Font and Jose, they're really similar in age, which is wild because Font doesn't have that much experience, and Jose Aldo feels like he's been fighting for the last 20 years. But what are you thinking of this, Chris?
Well, I'm really excited to see, Rob Font, a guy who is really a textbook MMA guy. If you look up MMA fighter, mixed martial arts in the dictionary, you're going to find Rob Font, just the way he can come heavy on the hands, really pound the pocket, and then also be able to revert to the grappling when he needs, versus an Aldo who's really just one of the true kickboxers of MMA, going back a long time. And I think that this is going to be a real, an unstoppable object meets an immovable force kind of clashing with each other. Ultimately, I'm thinking Rob Font just has as I said, has a few more weapons and has taken just a lot less damage in his career. And I think this is going to be his night, but it'll be interesting to see if Aldo can keep this train rolling.
Yeah, well, Font, I believe, is the betting favorite right now, which kind of shocked me. But I think it's everybody with Jose Aldo. When he went down to bantamweight, it was shocking. And then every fight, it's a matter of, is this the one where the cut to bantamweight gets him? Is this the one? Because even though he's lost a few fights at bantamweight, he's looked good in all of his fights. I think of Jose Aldo, I think if he's still got control of that weight cut, I think Aldo takes this. And part of that's because over the last couple of years of his career, I've kept going, it's over for Aldo. It's over, like the weight cut. And then he just keeps proving me wrong. So I think I'm going to take Aldo here. I think he gets the job done. I think an Aldo Dillashaw matchup too is going to be very fun. I think it's one that I think Dillashaw waits for the title shot if it's fight Rob Font. I think he takes the Aldo fight if it's going to be that. But it's going to be a great fight. It's a free fight on a fight night. It's one of those ones that you got to tune in for sure.
Yeah, and I think usually when you change weight classes, it's the going up that everybody's impressed by, and everyone's like, oh, or sometimes people go down and people, oh, you're retreating down in the division. It's a retreat if you go down, but if you're at the age Aldo is and you're making that's the harder thing to do, to make that cut. And he's just been impressing everybody. And again, you're saying, which is the one? Is this the one? Is this the one? Is this the one? You sit down at the roulette wheel and red keeps winning. Red keeps winning. You know, red can't win again. Red can't win again. So it's hard to go against Jose Aldo the way he's been rolling. But I really think Rob Font just has that ability to go to the ground, maybe not to secure a victory, but to kind of take some heat off him if things get too hot in there.
And when we refer to Aldo as old, we're understanding that Font is only a year younger, but in MMA years, which is more important, Aldo is ancient.
It's totally different. You see the damage both guys have taken, and it's night and day difference. Font might as well be a little baby in the octagon.
Yeah.
All right.
What's next, Chris?
Oh, that one came in hot and heavy. Now we got Pettis fighting Horiguchi
Yeah,
at
keeping up with the bantamweight showcase here, eh?
yeah, here we go.
All right, this one's on Friday night, Bellator, and a title fight start off the weekend. Here we got Sergio Pettis defending the bantamweight belt versus Kyoji Horiguchi. Horiguchi, for those of you that don't know, this is going to be his first fight as an official Bellator fighter, but he's the lineal Bellator bantamweight champion. He, as part of the crossover event with Horizon, who he's been with for the last couple of years, he won the belt against Darian Caldwell and was able to come back and defend it against him, and then dealt with some injuries, had 2 fights in Rise, and he lost as a huge favorite to a guy. He came back, beat him in the rematch, but he had a tough time dealing with some injuries, so he ended up dropping the Bellator belt. In the meantime, Juan Archuleta picked it up and then lost it to Sergio Pettis. So Pettis was pretty open in the lead up to this fight. He said, pretty much, I'm just holding on. I'm warm, keeping the belt warm for Horiguchi. Like, I'm babysitting it. It's his belt, but I'm going to go in and win it now. So there's Pettis understands what this fight is. He understands that Pettis is essentially the interim champ here. Horiguchi is the real champ, and we're gonna solve it this weekend. Both men, former UFC fighters who have made a very good living for themselves outside of the UFC. Horiguchi for a little bit longer than Pettis here. But Pettis has been on a run since he moved up from flyweight, which he was at in the UFC, into bantamweight and Bellator. And he's, I'd say at this point right now, for the long time, he's been looking up his brother, saying all the success he's had. But at this point, Sergio's been more successful than Anthony.
mhm.
But this is a tough fight going into this against Horiguchi. What do you think, Chris?
Yes, and I think that Pettis, I mean, views that division. He views that
Mhm,
organization as him,
mhm,
as his, and to see this
mhm.
guy just come in, walk in, I think there's going to be a big mental game for Pettis coming into this fight. Ultimately, I think that he's going to claim what is his.
Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna, we're gonna be battling back and forth. I feel like this MMA show is gonna be good for that. I'm taking Horiguchi here. I think Horiguchi is severely underrated by a
Mhm,
lot of MMA fans, and that's because of some of the organizations he's fought in. But beating Darion Caldwell, who, in all fairness, is not a top 10 bantamweight, but Horiguchi's so little, and he was able to get inside that distance. To see him against Pettis, who they're the same size, is going to
mhm.
be. I think he's going to have no problem. I think Horiguchi wins this, but it's a situation where I could, if Bellator, if this is a close fight, I could see Bellator running it right back. It's not too much else going on in the bantamweight division, especially when James Gallagher lost a few weeks back. They were really probably trying to set him up for a title shot. Patchy Mix, who beat him, just is coming out of a title shot 1 or 2 fights ago. This could easily turn into a rematch right
Mhm.
back.
Yeah, yeah, and I think the more of those kind of matchups that Bellator can find, parity between a couple guys that draw in two very different markets and two very different interests, and let's make
Hmm.
it happen. And we're excited for Bellator this weekend.
Yes.
All right, so now we're gonna sit back and remember the glory days of yesteryear as Habib uh, had some words to say about Justin Gaethje. What's going on there, Brad?
Well, yeah. Well, last week there was the discussion about who should get the title shot next, Justin Gaethje or Islam Makhachev. And Khabib had some opinions. He said that Justin Gaethje has been knocked out in like 3 of his last 8 fights. He fought for the title 2 fights ago. He doesn't deserve it. Makhachev's been on a 9-fight win streak. He's the one that deserves it. Gaethje needs to kind of sit down. Gaethje took a little bit of offense, took some shots at Ali Abdelaziz, saying that
Mm-hmm.
he was the one writing the tweets. When people got to remember too, Ali is the manager of Justin as well and Makhachev. So Ali's the manager for all 3 of these fighters, which is kind of throwing it way back to our John Fitch interview. Gets to be a problem when when managers have so many fighters on their roster. And then Khabib comes back out this week, says that he kind of doubled down on it, said, my opinion's my opinion. I respect Gaethje. We know that Khabib respects Gaethje. In all reality, he might not have even wrote the damn tweets. But it's a situation. Do you agree with Khabib or do you agree with Justin here?
Uh, I think I'm gonna go with Justin Gaethje, just because I think that he has more time spent in the market looking towards a title fight. I think you got to give him credit being the last guy. I mean, if he had just skipped a fight against Khabib in Khabib's
Yeah.
final bout before he retired, then
Hmm.
Justin Gaethje could be the champion right now. So, and that was a time when everybody was getting beat by Khabib. And so I think you got to look at Justin Gaethje and say, okay, we couldn't have given you this right away, but you've paid your dues, and he's a hot hand right now, and Islam's a hot hand too. But the reality is, I think Justin Gaethje, people are saying at this point, okay, enough is enough. Give him the title fight. Whereas Islam Makhachev is, if you were to get a title shot, I think people would be understandable and people would be excited for it. But there were other fights to make, which we'll get into our next segment. If you're watching on video, you could see the sections. There's other fights to make that are going to be excited, and Islam is going to be very quickly behind him. And who knows, we might have a Justin Gaethje Islam Makhachev title fight 3 fights from now. So I think things are going along exactly how they need to be. Khabib is going to, of course, there's a past history with Justin Gaethje having fought him in his final fight, beat him in his final fight in a very emotional fight where, I mean, he was still reeling from the loss of his father. Justin Gaethje was a respectable opponent. Justin Gaethje understood the gravity of the moment, knew when to step back and say, you know what, this night is all about Khabib. Really had to sit on the sidelines for a while where the UFC kind of had to figure out what to do with him while Khabib played a long, okay, is he coming back? Is he not? Is he, all this stuff. There was, I think Justin Gaethje has shown, not only said I respect Khabib, has shown an incredible amount of respect for Khabib. But at the end of the day, Khabib is really almost a part of Islam Makhachev's corner. So of course he's going to say that guy needs a title shot next. This is part of the business, and I think that because of that respect Justin Gaethje has for Khabib, such a statement where it's not just like, oh, my guy needs a title shot. It's guy needs a title shot over Justin Gaethje. Well, he's going to take offense to that. He's going to say, wait a minute, and then Khabib's going to clarify. I think this is a very human moment in the stories, and at the end of the day, you got Islam Makhachev, you got Justin Gaethje, and you have Khabib in a headline. So it's just everybody's going to be talking about it.
Yeah, no, I think you put that well. The only thing that I can really add to this isn't boxing. We don't punish fighters for losing to the top level fighters. We almost celebrate them for taking that chance. Islam hasn't beat anybody of note other than a Dan Hooker on 3 weeks' notice in a different continent. And Justin Gaethje's fought the top level guys for the last 8 fights. So we're not going to punish him. We're going to celebrate that. So I think that leads into the next topic pretty well there, Chris.
Yes. So, Islam Makhachev, 2 fights. Beneil, Dariush. Brad, when is this fight going to happen?
I believe it's in February, but Dana White agrees with us. He thinks Justin Gaethje deserves a title shot too. So he's throwing Islam in. This is going to be not a number 1 contender because at this point, I doubt Gaethje's going to be in there yet. So it's almost like the number 2 contender fight. But this is a good fight here. It's Dariush's. You asked when it was. Sorry, I don't know if you have it up. I don't know if they've fully announced the date yet. I think it's in February. You could probably look that up. You're the one on the computer. But
Okay.
This is a good fight. Beneil Dariush is very underrated. He's coming off the win against Tony Ferguson. Makhachev, I don't want to say underrated, but I would say outside of his rabid fan base, underappreciated by kind of the mainstream. People kind of look at him as discount Khabib, which in all fairness, he kind of is. I don't think he's at Khabib's level, but he's very similar to Khabib.
But
it's,
I mean,
it's a situation in the lightweight division.
I think he's
he is developing. He is, but this is a good fight for.
I wouldn't say discount Khabib. I would say wholesale Khabib.
Okay.
Mark.
But the lightweight division, the lightweight division is so packed right now. We need to just start getting getting
Dude, we
contenders
just
out of the
need to
way.
have a night where it's just okay. We're gonna have all lightweight fights. Okay, so you go next. You go next. Okay, let's figure this out. Let's figure this.
Yeah, and this is a situation. Don't like the UFC very much wants Makhachev to win this fight because Beneil Dariush, great fighter, does not sell tickets. Makhachev sells tickets, especially as they're pushing into the UAE crowd, the Dagestan fans. They're since Khabib made his run in the UFC, that's just a huge market for them, and Makhachev's really taken that torch.
Mhm.
Beneil Dariush, all the respect in the world to him, but he's not bringing that fan base in. If he's in a lightweight title fight, people are not necessarily running to buy tickets. It's tough to ever make him an A side of a fight, and he's a weak B side, to be honest. Makhachev fills that role very much better, but Beneil's going to take it to Islam in this fight. I'm not picking Dariush, but this is going to be a close fight. This might be one of Makhachev's
But I'm
toughest fights in
flirting with it,
UFC.
you know.
Yeah,
I'm
well,
taking it out for coffee later. We're gonna get to know each other.
yeah, I'm not giving my pick on this fight till whenever this fight happens. But
It's
gonna be
26th
I don't
of February. It's a fight
yeah,
night,
smart.
5-round main event of a fight.
Yeah, well, I got a lot of time to think about my pick.
Yeah,
on
we
this,
got
Chris.
we got a lot of time. All right.
What are you thinking about this?
Well, yeah, I need to take
You were
some
about to
time.
skip the topic. Yeah.
I'm about to
Yeah,
go to
I
the
will
next. But I think that Islam Makhachev is a guy that inspired. Like, take all the Khabib stuff out of it. Just look at who he is. He is a guy that inspires fear, and he has been in a very dangerous position where, because of his rankings and because of all the rankings, and no one wants to lose to a guy lower ranking and whatever, he's been undervalued by those rankings, where nobody above him wants to fight him because it's a hard fight and you lose a lot to whereas he has nothing to lose. Like, if you're fighting a guy above you, you have nothing to lose, everything to gain. And I think Dariush is the guy that just doesn't care about any of that and wants to put on good fights, you know, shout out his daughter and go back home. You know, I think he's the perfect guy to match up. I think he's going to neutralize a lot of the mental, the anxiety, the fear people have had for Islam Makhachev. And if there's anybody that's going to get rid of this monster in the lightweight division, it's him. But still, I mean, Islam Makhachev is a guy that will not let up, will just drag you around the octagon. He's a very disciplined fighter and a very scary guy in there.
Yeah,
So
Makhachev better make sure that Elon Musk sent Dariush's Tesla, or Dariush might just win this fight to get out and call Elon Musk out.
yeah,
again.
exactly. It's like, hey, hey, Elon. All right.
All right.
And finally, we're going to talk about ourselves for a little bit.
Yeah, we're not talking about the future Ian Gary, who's been snubbing us for an interview. We're talking about the future of this show. Oh, you didn't think we were gonna call? All right, yeah. No offense, Ian Gary. That's probably gonna happen in the next month. Hopefully, maybe. Cross our fingers, waiting on an email. But Chris, what is the future of this show?
Well, the future of this show, I mean, Conor McGregor was already listed, as you can see. He's kind of dark on this picture, Brad.
Yeah, I'm seeing Artem Lobov right now.
Yeah, no, we'll move like this. No, like, move your body. Like, you're blocking it out. It's you're blocking out Conor McGregor.
Oh, okay. I
See,
see it. I
it's
see
the Conor
it.
McGregor. It didn't turn out. It didn't turn out.
Okay, I see it.
Like, wait. Let me just.
Our audio podcast listeners are going, "What am I listening to right now?"
Yeah,
I see. Okay.
It's falling apart. But Conor McGregor listens to the show. That's what I'm saying.
All right. So, if you've been a long time listener of the 11th Island, formerly Big Game Talk, you know that we talk about MMA quite a bit, but it's been a long time since we've done long form talk about MMA. Really since we were Big Game Talk, really probably since 2020. and we're back. I think this is a situation where we've talked about doing the MMA Weekly Show for quite a long time. We've been doing the CFL Weekly Show, but it's been going great. It's been a lot of fun. But I think in all reality, long form talking, we're probably at our best when we're talking about MMA as opposed to football. And that's not to slight our football shows at all. Those are a ton of fun, but I think our better shows are going to
It's
be with
not to
MMA.
say our MMA shows are really good either. I don't know what this means.
Yeah, well, I mean, we're not ESPN here. We're the 11th Island. We're just trying to make it still. So again, I hope that if you're still listening to the show, tune in. We're going to be doing this weekly now for the foreseeable future. We're still learning and growing with it. We got this new format that or the new whatever you call it thing that we're sitting in right now that Chris made, which is great. And we're just going to keep growing. This is going to keep evolving. I'm sure segments and stuff like that are going to come in. If you got suggestions for things that you want to see, want to listen to us talk about, leave them in the comments. Anything else you got, Chris?
No, I just want to say keep tuned. MMA Awards coming out mid-December. And Brad, what do people need to do?
Yeah, make sure if you like this to like, comment, subscribe. If you're on YouTube, if you're on audio, follow, rate, and review. If you're on audio, we're on YouTube as well. If you want to see us, if you're on YouTube sick of seeing us, we're on audio as well. Just make sure you search 11th Island. MMA Weekly Show is going to be coming out every week. Looking at Tuesday right now. Date subject to change once the CFL season is done. It's tomorrow. CFL East and West final preview is up. The semifinal recap is already up. Make sure to check that out. And immediate reactions almost every weekend for boxing and MMA world. 500 subscriber video coming up.